Is your family farm's future uncertain? Silence may be the biggest risk of all. Discover how open conversations and gradual planning can secure your legacy and empower the next generation. Don't wait, start the dialogue today. Learn more and download a transition planning checklist at fcc.ca/knowledge.
I'm Lindsay Smith with Real Agriculture, and joining me now, it's George LaRue. He's the chair of the Feeder Association of Alberta, based at Lac La Biche. Welcome here, George.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
So it was an exciting week, of course, last week, where we got news of an increase that the Alberta government announced to the loan limit guarantee. What is this all about? Why is this so important to your association?
It's very important to the whole cattle industry in Alberta. With the rising cost of cattle, you're paying 2 or 3 times more than you would have just a few years ago. So the dollars in are high. And we have reached our cap about a year and a half ago, and where we could no longer lend any money. So you couldn't put the same amount of cattle in a pen for the same dollars, obviously. So we lobbied the government. We worked very close with the minister and his team. And we've got to this point where we've got an increase.
So now that increase it's from 150 million of a cap to 225 million. And as you said, I mean, really does reflect the incredible growth in the value of these cattle that you'd be placing on feed. What kind of difference will this make for the 45 feeder associations across the province?
It'll make a big difference. It'll keep them in the game. It'll keep them feeding cattle rather than shrinking. And with our cattle markets now, I'm not saying they're going to last forever, but it keeps business going as usual.
So for those who aren't aware, how does a program like this work? Like, how does the Feeder Association sort of access this guarantee? What does this actually sort of look like in practice?
In practice, it's when you buy an animal, you put 5% into a security deposit pool to help protect your fellow producers. And the government guarantees 15% of your normal 20% you would have to put down at any other lending institution.
Okay. So it really does, it adds like a layer of security for the feeders.
Yes.
When they're buying cattle, the government backs a certain amount of that.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Now you mentioned that, of course, this was something that your organization was asking for. How long did this sort of take to happen? Is this good, or are you looking for more?
No, I think this will be suffice for now. Until it either grows to the point where we need more, or if cattle prices drop, obviously we'd need less. But it gives us a pretty good cushion there to continue business as usual.
Mm-hmm. Now we are here, wild to say it, early September. And as you mentioned, cattle prices have been phenomenal, which is a good thing, but it also does raise the stakes, pun intended, for those who, of course, are buying and selling cattle. What's the overall mood with the Feeder Association, with the 45 feeder associations, as far as what the outlook looks like this fall buying calves?
Very expensive. The cattle prices they go up every week. So. But I think if a person or any producer uses all the risk management tools that's available to them, it really mitigates the risk that they are taking, and also the risk for the pooled money, which everybody has a part in, and also minimizes the risk to the government on the guarantee.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And looking forward, are there other programs or other mechanisms that your association uses to do business to sort of mitigate some of that risk?
Yes, we work closely with the provincial government, and with our policy and procedure manuals and the inspection services, of course. It's under an act and regulations, so it has to adhere to all the rules of the game. And as long as we can keep that going smoothly, and it really minimizes the risk to everybody.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. All right, and finally, just before we hopped on here, you did mention that some much needed moisture has hit
Yes.
your area and other areas. What's the outlook? What's the feeling for cattle producers right now in your area, at least, of Alberta? How are they feeling about these markets and about the moisture situation?
Well, moisture situation you really can't do much about. We've had a tough go up here for June and July, and then all of a sudden we got 4 inches of rain in 2 days, which turned everything green again, and it's not so crunchy. I cut my lawn on the 12th of June, and I didn't cut it again till, well, 3 days ago. But we're green and we're not feeding anymore. It's great. If you're a cow-calf producer, you're just amazed by these prices. There's finally a spot over the last 25 years that you can actually make $1.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really positive. I don't think there's going to be much herd expansion again this year because one thing is the heifers are just worth too much money to keep.
Yeah.
And and the shortage of beef.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be tough because if we do start retaining, 20-30% of the calf crop as heifers, we're really going to be short of beef.
Mm-hmm. What would be more typical? A 5 to 10% replacement just to maintain? What would be a more typical sort of heifer retention if you weren't looking to grow, you're just looking to maintain?
A 10% would be likely the number.
Yeah. Okay. So
depends on management style, of course. And
yeah. But if feed is short and heifers are worth a lot, it's a pretty easy decision.
Yes.
Yeah. And they are worth a lot. So,
and they are.
Yeah. So nothing wrong with that. Now, if you've got plentiful feed, though, that becomes a much different equation.
Oh, for sure. And there's part of the provinces, part of Western Canada that have ample feed. And I think you're going to see some expansion in those areas. But the southern states, too, in the northern plains have been very dry. And you're not going to see very much expansion there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, George, thank you so much for joining me here on Real Agriculture. Really appreciate it. We'll be keeping tabs, of course, of what those markets do. And so thank you so much for shedding light here on the changes to this feeder loan limit. And we'll see how things go for the winter ahead.
Thank you very much.